Okay, good. Okay, we call this meeting to order of the Dart Board. We're calling ourselves here, May 12th, 2025. And so what we're going to talk about tonight is totally fluid, flexible, and you know what I mean? These are just ideas. We're just trying to get them down on paper. Now, as everybody may or may not have heard, we were granted by the ARDC, the Amateur Radio Digital Corporation, sorry, Amateur Radio Digital Communications Group. And the unprecedented opportunity to bring things up to date. Up to date. Oh, and here's Al, K8ALH. So let's just wait a minute for Al to check in here. Al, are you
Hel-
there?
Hello. Am I
Oh,
being seen and heard? Hello.
not only are you being heard, you are really being heard, at least in my speaker
Oh,
anyway.
okay. I won't talk so loud. I don't know how to
That's
adjust
better.
the
Nah,
volume.
don't bother, don't bother, not a big
Okay.
deal. All right, just in time here, just in time. All right, so I was just saying that, our grant has been, our Andrew, who put together the proposal, uh, really took, and Mike, we got to give credit to Mike, KAWU. I mean, he did the first, took the first shot at the basket, ball hit the rim, bounced back, and Andrew got the ball and slam dunk, and we have been awarded the money. Now, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to organize people. This is my job, is organizing people. Who's going to do what? So I've come up with, let me get this over here. I've come up with this, and it may not be right, but I just want to say two things. One, we want nice pictures of everybody, and these aren't always the best pictures. So if you have a better picture, please let me know. It's important because we talk on the radio and we don't always associate a name with a face. And I think that this type of presentation, helps. If for some reason, you don't want your picture here, we will give us a picture of your antenna. We can put that up in place. And Andrew and Mike, I don't actually have pictures, but as time goes on or whatever, listen, I'm flexible on this. Now, what I did based on the feedback, um, we did a survey, right? Or we had an email or something. And I took the feedback from that email and kind of sorted it out according to what people were saying their interests are. And so uh, this is what I've come up with so far. And again, this is not locked in. I am merely trying to just document where everybody's head is at this point. So if there are changes, please let me know. We can certainly take care of things there. So, how do you organize a project of this magnitude? And this is a pretty large project uh, in relative terms of other things that we have done. Maybe Field Day. Field Day is probably our largest project. So um, Field Day is very, very intensive for a very short period of time. This is intensive for a very long period of time. What can I say? So I asked ChatGPT, what is better, Microsoft Teams or to use Zoom? Okay. And so the difference is Microsoft Teams is better for managing the project. Now my question is, my my uh, my question is accessibility by everybody. So we'll have to get that squared away. If you have Microsoft 360, is it 360 or 365 or whatever it is? It's included. If not, let's talk and we'll get the access to those people. I'm going to mute everybody. I'm muting everybody, but you can, there we go. Uh, by pushing your space bar, you can speak, or by just unmuting yourself with your cursor and click there. All right. So anyway, so that's this is what I'm getting at here. So let's hopefully that works okay. We're going to learn how to do that. But here are some of the things and why it's important. So we'll have our own page, right? This is our project, the ARDC 2025 Grant Project Plan. Okay. And if you zoom in, you can see here they have called communities. So that's this project, okay, the highest level of this project. Now, this project will be divided into five separate phases, okay, and five different teams. Now, even though the teams are different, individuals are welcome to be on multiple teams, okay? But in terms of organizing the documentation, organizing the purchase orders, organizing all that kind of stuff, we're going to, from a business standpoint, we'll keep track of it. So the first segment here, which is what we're going to start probably in 4 to 6 weeks. Did I mention that the funds will be transferred? We have from 4 to 6 weeks to get everything all organized there. So first we'll do the antenna replacement project, which is well underway. Well, not well underway, but it has been planned. So we'll do that first. Then the next phase, well, it's not really the next phase, it's really a simultaneous phase, is the IP networking team. Now, we really have to start pretty much from scratch, but we need to get everybody organized, and we need to figure out where we're going with that, and so on. And we will talk about what it takes to do that. Then we'll do the repeater, the VHF repeater rack team, and then the UHF repeater rack, and then the IP radio link, and the link between the UHF repeater and the VHF repeater. So I'm just moving, just bear with me, man. I'm just moving my screens around a little bit because I've got one screen where the other one normally is and vice versa. And I'm almost with you here. Oh, much better, much better. Okay, so in addition to these, let me get my pointer. In addition to these phases of the project. If you look over here, you can see here we'll have posts where information that goes to the entire group will be posted in real time, and so on. Messaging is included in here and things of that sort. Then we have, and this is what attracted me in the first place, files, right? So all of the files that are associated with this project, all of the files will be located here. And anyone, listen, what is one of the worst things in any project is when people start working off of versions that have been updated. So this is extremely important that we're all referencing the most up-to-date version of a drawing or a requisition or a purchase order or whatever it is. So all that sort of stuff will be kept here. And then photos, okay. I mean, we've got a ton of photos, and so they will be here. This way, the entire team has access to all of the information. Okay. Now, again, we have, I'm not sure what all the accessibility is on the member end. So we'll get that sorted out and work together. But this will be a good start anyway in the right direction, because and also this will last here pretty much forever in terms of storing it. I mean, generation from now they'll be able to look back, because all of the information gets stored in Microsoft OneDrive and also SharePoint. No, I'm not 100% familiar with the SharePoint, but OneDrive I use, and it's terrific, really. All right, anyway, enough of that. So what we have to think about here, number one, again, we have 4 to 6 weeks. What we want to do, and let's use 4 weeks, let's say the soonest. We want to have our purchase orders written up, ready to go. We can't send any purchase orders out until we have the funds to cover it, obviously. So so we have some time to get ourselves organized here. But number one is we need as a checklist for when we're finished to make sure that we've accomplished the goal at hand here. We need to define what is the functionality that we expect this new repeater, to have. And that step begins by what functionality do we currently have, and what's the additional functionality that we intend to have as we move into the digital world. And that includes the digital platform. Are we staying with Fusion, or are we going to DMR, or all of that stuff? So we're going to need a team of people to figure this out. And I'll show you some examples of what that might look like. The next thing is we need to create a list of hardware candidates, and I'll show you some examples on that. I know we have a repeater, the Motorola, so on and so forth. Then what we want to do is, once we know what we want this thing to do, is we need to make sure that whatever we're purchasing can actually do that. Okay. So for example, where it says create a list of hardware candidates. Well, for the computer, so again, I went to Chat GPT here, and I asked our buddy, hold on just a minute, I just got to respond. So I went to Chat GPT here. So it says here, it says, well, Yaesu DR-2X. Did we look at that? The Motorola MTR 2000. That's what I believe we have there. The ICOM is another one, the FR 6300, and the Hytera RD 985. I don't know, this is not my area of expertise, but it would be good for folks to check that out and see that our list of desired functionality, which one of these, and price point, which one of these comes most in line with what we're looking for. Okay. Uh, okay. We did this already, so we don't need to talk about that any further. Right? Antenna via, yes, we did. Okay, so our next topic here. So again, I just want to remind everybody, this is a block diagram, a very high level block diagram, but these are the pieces that are of our system that are currently included in the current quote. I'm not 100% where that equipment list originated from. It's pretty close. I just don't know where it originated from. Andrew, I believe he got it from, not sure. But anyway,
I thought John said he created it.
John,
You.
oh, is
I
that
thought he
true?
said he did last week.
I did not know that. Okay, well, thank you for that. Oh, well,
Might have been a different document, but I think it was this one.
yeah. Oh, well, that helps a great deal. Okay, thanks for that.
And Joe, you're supposed to take the telephone number off of there.
Oh, thank you. Stand by. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I think by this time it might be just easier to get a different telephone number later on.
All right. Let me just do that for now. Thank you. I'm making a note of that. Thank you, Hugh. That was slide 59. Okay, well done. I do know that John AA8UU, this is an existing network plan, IP networking plan. and he couldn't have provide more details. And I know Dave and Tony. Is Tony here? Is Tony on here? Tony, are you here? I guess not. Okay, it doesn't matter. Um, so yeah. All right. Hold on just a second. Okay. So I know Dave and Tony. I know well, Dave. I know you're working on updating this. Is that correct, Dave? If you're
Yeah,
there,
yeah. I am. I'm still plugging away at it.
good.
I was spending most of my time looking at pricing this last week.
Okay. Listen, we now is the time to be doing that. You're right, and so just let me know when you're ready to publish it, and we'll get it up here. And again, this entire presentation will be available online. Uh, Eventually, I guess through Microsoft Teams. But I'll mount this somewhere on the shared drive, and we'll be able to have this presentation for those who want to go back in and look through it. Okay. All right. Again, this is an approximate schedule. It needs a lot of work. Okay, very, very high level at this point, but just to give us an idea, we have pretty much through the end of December. If we stay on track, which what are we? We're May now, right? We're looking for proposals. Well, yes, we're looking for our proposals now, and so we want to get together and get some RFQs, requests for quotations out, and get that sorted. So we'll get that going. But anyway, this is just an idea as things solidify here, we'll have a more detailed timeline in terms of what our targets are going to be. So getting back to this, and I guess we need to come up with a way of being able to sort this through and make a list of hold on just a minute. Stand by just a minute. Stop it. We don't leave bread rolls on the kitchen table with the dogs. Anyway, okay, so I got that. So here is the list of what we're aiming for in terms of functionality, and I have two versions of this. So obviously we want to, our coverage area is very important, so we'll look into that. We need to consider about backup power and how that's all going to work. Remote monitoring and control is just so important these days, especially. And there's no reason why we can't have an app on our phones, John, AA8UU, and the others, our air monitors and folks like that, for remote control. Beaconing and station ID. All right, well, we're pretty good with that. Maybe we need to update some of the voices that we have, but it's nice. It's a nice feature, I think, having the voices. Beaconing, I'm not exactly sure how that would affect us. Maybe APRS or something. I don't know. Anyway, digital crossband linking, which is what we currently have in a form where the VHF and the UHF repeaters are tied together for a certain number of hours during the day. So that's crossband linking. But we'd like that built into the repeater. The obvious high duty cycle. Well, of course, it's FM, right? So it's 100% duty cycle. So that's just the way it is. Ports, audio recording and logging. Something we do manually now, backup repeater redundancy, and so on. So anyway, analog digital support and automated message playback. Well, that was part of the other one there. Now here again, we're using Chat GPT, so I just fed it in there, and I was curious what Chat would have to say about this. So here are some things to think about. The footprint, again, it's always number one. It's all about the coverage area, right? Proper frequency coordination, which we are frequency coordinated with the Michigan Coordination Council. High quality antenna system, absolutely. Listen, the antenna is 80% of your radio system, right? Adequate isolation between transmit and receive. So as we're selecting duplexers, that's important. And of course, reliable equipment. Man, you can't get more reliable than the Quantar. As long as I've been a member of the club, which is more than 10 years now, it's never failed. And I don't know of any cases it's ever been off the air, frankly. Anyway, so there's that aspect of it.
Got some wood nearby.
Thank you. There we go. But it is amazing that it can last that long. Anyway, effective repeater controller. Okay, so boy, this is where it really gets. I mean, the guys who work with this every day need to really help us figure that out. Power supply, station identifier, of course, community accessible, meaning you can access the repeater. That would be nice. And maintenance and monitoring. Anyway, so those are just some of the at the end of the project, when we're ready to sign off and say, okay, we've achieved our goals, we're going to go through each one of these and make sure that we can check that off the list. And if you can think of any others that need to be added to this list, please don't be shy. Okay, so RF propagation simulation software. I was hoping maybe Mike, VPC, might be interested in plotting this out. I've had some experience with this radio mobile. I've done actually, it's been a long time since I've used it. It's probably been updated numerous times, but it is a good idea to see, what the predictions would be. But before we even get started with the antenna, step one is we have to take certain readings, field strength readings from a certain number of locations so that we know what the current footprint is. And we want to make sure when we change out the antenna that footprint is at least equal to, if not better than, what we originally had. Now, we don't really expect much of a change, even when we change to a new antenna. The difference by adding the new antenna, of course, is replacing the antenna base because it's very, very rusty and is corroded. So we'll change that base, but changing the antenna, the pattern is going to be pretty much the same. The elevation is the same. It's omnidirectional. So you won't really notice it other than the fact it'll still be there when the heavy winds are blowing through. But this simulation software is very interesting, and it helps when we network together. When it's in the future, of course, but it'll give us a sense of what we're putting together so that our footprint, rather than being one of these, it can show the footprint of the actual network. So interesting stuff there. And then in the future, if we can do a partnership with maybe one of the high schools or colleges or something, I would love to be able to launch one of these high altitude balloons and see what we get out of it. So anyway, this is also good for that when that day comes. All right. What is this? Oh, this is just another program, same thing, towercoverage.com. This is a commercially available program that the telephone companies use to figure out here best tower location, for example, and link path analysis. Okay, so anyway, a lot of different types of possibilities there. Okay. Oh, so action items. Okay. So the contract was at the attorney. So that's kind of all, that's all done. Contract signing. So we're done. We start at item 3. Okay. So match the system requirements to the bill of materials. That's what I was just talking about. Then the next thing would be to prepare a formal RFQ. Okay. And why that's important is because what we want the different vendors, and our target is to have 3 vendors, but we want them bidding on uh, exactly the same plan, so that the price varies a little bit here and there. Maybe their vision of what this might look like. So we'll be preparing a formal RFQ with photos to give them a sense of where we are. Of course, the vendors will for sure want to visit the site at one point, but before we even get to that point with them, let's see if they're in the ballpark or not. 3, yeah, that's right. Send to 3 vendors requesting price and availability. Plot the existing footprint, which I just talked about. There was mention, and I don't know what this is, there was mention about RF interference. I'm not sure. There are 3 cases which are going on, by the way, so I'm not sure which one that mention was referring to. So we want to be able to detail that out a little bit more so people understand. When tracking down interference, it's important that we, have the facts and we have some documentation, because it's really hard to really find the source of, just going on hearsay. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's always better to know where you're going. Simultaneous with all this, if we can, if we could set up a test bed for this bi-directional data link, because that's going to take a lot of research into that. And when I say research, it's not that complicated. I mean, we just have to. For us, it's really getting the skill set up to speed. It's a very well-known technology, and people in the business do it every day. So, but it is interesting. So basically, what we're doing is we're setting up a data link using IP, Internet Protocol platform. But it's rather than being on terrestrial fiber, it's going to be wireless, so that we will be completely off the grid. Good question. Number 9, great question. What do we do with the old equipment after the new equipment is installed? I don't have an answer to that, but it's something that we have to keep in the back of our minds there. Whether we keep it as a backup, who knows? But that's something to think about.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just a reminder. I had said this 6 months or a year ago. I would like the antenna for a week or 2. I want to take the sleeve off. I want to see how, a professional antenna like that is constructed. So I just want to pull it apart, take a look at it, put it back together, and give it back.
Which antenna are you talking about?
The one we're replacing.
Oh, okay, got it. Did I send you? I think I did, and if I didn't, I need to send you a write-up that was done by somebody, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so. A very detailed write-up of taking that antenna apart and replacing the insides. And one of the things that he brought up was one of the biggest problems with it is on the inside, the UV, being exposed to UV rays over an extended period of time somehow degrades some of the insulating material. How UV gets to the inside of the antenna never really made sense to me, but read the article. If I don't have it, please, Mike, send me an email, remind me,
Okay.
and I'll send it to
Joe,
you. Yes.
we're going to be leaving the old antenna up and the new one's going to be put in a different location so we can leave them both up in the same time, get them working satisfied before we take the old one down, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact,
Yeah,
what would be ideal is to do like an XY comparison when we, after the installation, we can go around to the different points and maybe a little more scientifically. But yes, absolutely. And then after that, we'll figure it out. Okay. Where was I here? Oh, we want to replace the digital links. This is in the future. The remote receivers. And I know I keep going on about this, but we need a remote receiver committee to get, we need to replace we lost the north site and we lost the south site, and somehow time just travels fast. So actually, that was right before the lockdown. So then somehow we never got back to that, but that's something we need to do. Um, Now, according to Mike, is Mike here? Oh, okay. All right. But according to Mike, which is he has a sharp eagle eye, and he was able to identify where the current antenna. I do have a photograph of it. I just don't have it handy. But where the current antenna is, the metal, because it's mounted on the metal, is buckling. This is not a good thing. So anyway, it's time. It's time to replace that antenna mount. Then finally, what else? Ubiquity links. Anybody who needs copies of all this stuff is going to be available on Teams, so you can go and take a look at it. It'll be on the server. So, and Terrace, well, we're not even going to go there. All right. Anyway, okay.
Joe, are you going to provide a link to the server and how to get to it?
Yes, Al. I will. I'm in the process of getting it all set up and figuring that out. So bear with me. In the meantime, don't forget that John is recording this. John Watoy, our webmaster, is recording this, and this presentation is available on YouTube. Okay.
Joe, you might also want to incorporate a section to allocate funds for specialized test and calibration equipment and any specialty tools that you might need for all this new equipment coming in. So,
Well, that's
spectrum
a good.
analyzers, VNAs, whatever it takes to field strength meters, something that we'll be able to test and calibrate as the time comes.
Yes, especially a good spectrum analyzer, so that we understand, with a spectrum analyzer on the output, it will help us determine any intermodulation or any other issues that we're having. With the telephone companies now moving out, it's a much better RF environment up there, but that's part of the remote monitoring package, and that's definitely going to be in the plan. But thank you. That should be a. Let me just write that down so I don't forget. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's move on here. Enough of all this stuff. So this is the list. So we think that John did this. Interesting. Okay, I'll get with him and so on. So we'll get this sorted out. All right, this is an actual picture of our antenna. Now you can see, I won't zoom in on it, but you can see how the mast has been seen better days there. But anyway, this is what we're planning on replacing, and we have a gain of about 5 dB. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then we're going to get quotes from this company here, which is this antenna. Now, Mike, VPC, Mike, came up with a dipole, a folded dipole similar to on the right side here. These are the two replacement antennas, right? The one on the right is a folded dipole. Now, in our case, see, these are all in line. They'd be rotated 90 degrees for full coverage. But to me, if you want my personal opinion, every one of these loops is a place for rain to collect and freeze and turn into ice. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan. And here's the other thing too, if I can just say something about the station master. The things work very well for 40 years. Why change it? We know it works. We've been, you know, it's been up there. It's been reliable. I mean, it has its quirks. We get that, but it's been pretty reliable. I wouldn't tempt fate there on that one.
Joe,
Anyway,
real quick, the only thing I can think is that the folded bay, the folded dipole 4-bay, is that you get a little more directionability out of it. And whether or not you need it for this, I don't know. But also think about it as it's going to receive less multi-pathing if it's directional, as opposed to an omnidirectional. If there is RF going down through that corridor, an omnidirectional is going to pick it up. You'll have absolutely no way to attenuate it out with an omnidirectional antenna, whereas a 4-bay folded dipole, you'll have a little bit of direction ability to attenuate any kind of added RF if there is any. I don't know
right.
what the gain differences are, but that's the only advantage I know. The
Yeah.
four
The,
bay
the
or dipole or omnidirectional.
the gain difference is like the folded dipole is I think 7/10 of a dB, something like that, a little bit more. Oh, actually here, I got a picture for that, of course. It's 7/10 of a dB more. Now, like for the GM club, for the GM club, it makes absolute sense because they're right on the Detroit, they're right on the border, right? So for that, for, hold on just a minute, please. Hold on a minute. Hey, Max, please. Thank you. Um, where was I? Anyway, so but be careful here. DBD, right? Decibels compared to a dipole, there's like a 2.4 dB difference between that and dBi, so don't get mixed up because you can see how they switched them. But here, we are looking at uh, uh, here a difference between the two here. Here, this is dBi in this case, so you got to look at what's in the parentheses. So that's how we came up with the 7/10. Anyway, all right. Well, I won't belabor the point. Wind speed, of course, you can see here. This wind speed is only 94 miles an hour. But interesting. Mike came up. I was hoping he'd be on tonight with us, but he came up with a folded dipole that had an incredible 200 mile an hour wind survivability. It's almost too good to be true, so maybe we'll take a little closer look at that. All right. Anyway, coax, hardline, heliax. I mean, so we got that stuff. Duplexers. We'll take a look at our options there. We'll get the committee going on that. Different types of duplexers. So here we are, our Motorola SLR 5700. And so, listen, I mean, this has got to be the standard. And I think we measure the performance and capabilities of all other radios to this one. But I think we go through the process and we do that just so that we know, in our own sense, what are the features and capabilities that are available to us. So, and again, I showed this slide before. I know these are the two. There's three competitors to that. The same thing really with the repeater controller. And again, this really has to be gone over very, very closely. I'm certainly not qualified to make these kinds of judgments. This is a lot of detail I'm not that familiar with, but I think John Teagarden can lead the way on this. Okay. more features, all that. And so here, just as an example, so this was what was in the what was in there, okay. And then here are some ChatGPT came up with some RCOM, well, that's the one that we're looking at. Link Communications, SureCom, ID-O-Matic. Okay. And then our circulators and isolators and so on and so forth. And this, of course, is to keep our stray RF from backing into our HPA, our high-powered amplifier, and creating intermodulation. Absolutely crucial when all that telephone equipment was co-located with us. But now, like I said, it's a more friendly RF environment up there. Okay, and these are just some other slides. I want to get to again another circulator that we'll take a look at. So when at your leisure, you can stroll through this presentation here, and the distribution list that that ended up inviting everybody to this presentation, I'll will send the link to or an email with the link on how to view it. So some more things to consider here. There are Arduino, Raspberry Pi, various options that we need to put our heads together on that. And then this is, you can totally cross all this off. This is just a graphic example of what was on the networking hardware, but I know Dave is taking care of all that. And then finally, I just want to keep this in everybody's, keep this in mind. When we do get to the part where we do the wireless link, we're really interested in the 5 gigahertz band for this reason. Is the 5 gigahertz band, we have part 97 only frequencies here. Okay. Now we could go to the shared, the part 15, which is, non-licensed wireless stuff. But, that this is why that 5 gigahertz is more desirable. The other bands are not, I believe, are not shareable. I need more information on that. Anyway, so just an interesting thing. So that's really it. I don't have a lot more to report as of this moment, and I'm open to questions and comments. And I want to say this is a group activity. Any information or slide that has an HPARC emblem just like that means it's information that belongs to the club. So you can use that information. It's open source, of course, but if anyone make sure you give credit to our club here. I think this is going to be a very interesting project, and by next week we'll have the full organization put together, and we'll start moving on. I'll contact folks individually here in terms of beginning that the next steps that we need to start now. Okay, anybody?
Yeah, maybe I missed it earlier in earlier meetings, but a few
Yeah,
minutes ago you said something about deciding whether to stay with Fusion or go with DMR.
I did.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Personally, that's just me personally.
Well, maybe you can chair the subcommittee on platforms. You know what I mean? In other words, that would really be a big help if you can, and you're, listen, you're on the radio all the time, so you would know. So okay, so we'll get that. Thank you, John, for that. That's
A
a
question, Joe.
good point. Yes, go ahead. Les,
Once
is it? Yeah.
once all this equipment is in place, I think it's by the end of the year, who's gonna be maintaining it for the club?
I think that's an excellent question. In fact, that was one of my first questions.
I
Once
think
the
you
thing
should
is
have a
built,
checklist at the repeater site. As someone comes in there, they check this, check that, make sure everything is working.
right? So John Teagarden is, the chief engineer here. I don't know if that's even the right name to call it, but he's our hands-on. Listen, John's been with us through thick and thin, and he knows the system inside out like no one else. So I think he'd be a great resource in terms of helping, guide us in the right
Well,
in
I
the right
think
direction.
John should train somebody else
Yes. Oh
to
yeah.
bring the future generations for this repeater because John's getting up there in age.
As we all are.
You aren't kidding.
Listen, if we were all under 50, we'd be up on that roof installing that antenna, but I'm
Yeah.
afraid those days are long gone. Anyway, all right. Anything else?
No,
Okay, so stay tuned. More to follow. I'll send out a link so that you guys can go back through this. And please listen, this is a group effort. We need feedback, good or bad. Listen, I get it. It goes with the territory, but
I have
it's
one more question, Joe.
yes, listen.
This paying money to another club to them to set up more digital networks and help us do something with the digital side. What is that all about? I didn't catch it.
well,
So
there's
that would
no
be a
here.
that would be a phase six, which is not included in this in here unless we reach out. Here's the idea. So I know Sean's group there, the MI7, MI6. I know they're
Oh, he's
upgrading
at
from six to seven,
MI17, I think.
whatever it is. Anyway, so groups like that. Um, Groups like that have funding for expanding the network, the MI6 network or MI7 network, whatever it is. And so, it, assuming that it's possible, and we don't know, this is just Saturday morning breakfast talk over
Oh,
coffee. In joining that, what would the arrangements be if we connect into the MI6 network? And this would be next year. This is not part of this the project. But if we do, so that connecting link, the question is, so who would provide that? Is that something that existing funding could cover, or is that something that we would do additionally? And so how would we go about that? There would be two links because it would be a diverse connection. One would go roughly towards Ann Arbor somewhere. I forgot where exactly it is. And the other one, I think, goes up to Flint, I think, somewhere north, up in that direction. So,
Joe, do you want me to
yes,
address that a little?
if you would, Sean, thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, hi. Most everybody knows me here, Sean, W8FU, and I can kind of be a liaison to Central Michigan. I am involved with that group as well. They they got recently a RDAC grant for about $250,000, and they put the MI6 network, which is what they're calling it, right into the state EOC and all over, their basic, area of operations. And what we did in Macomb County is we recognized that we wanted some of this as well. And now I'm dual purposing mine. I'm using the Part 15 stuff, and I'm using some AES 256 encrypted backbone, and then I'm running some amateur stuff on that Part 15 stuff. The point-to-point stuff will, of course, be amateur, but we're getting a little bit off base here. But the point-to-point stuff is what allows us to put in all the repeaters and do all the linking. So we could do this on our own, and we could put in our own server, our own internet, and then put up our own microwave, and then have our own limited network. And we would control it. We wouldn't be subjected to the foils of the internet. Should there be an attack on the internet or something like that, or something go down, as it does, we control the network. But it just didn't make sense for us to do this alone when we could connect into theirs, and add all that additional connectivity, not beholden to them at all. I want to be absolutely clear on that. Our network in Macomb County is government sponsored. We got ours on a different kind of a grant. He got his on the RDAC grant. We got ours on a UASC Urban Area Security Initiative, and we're using it mostly for um, uh, you know police, fire, communications type things. But we're also letting the amateurs ride on it as well. And ours stands alone. And what we were going to do is we were going to pass it off to you. And then you would then be able to get on the greater network. And then you could take it wherever you want. You could take it up to Birmingham for your UHF repeater. You could go off of my hospital and you could get it down to the airport. You could, that would include the hospital, the airport, Birmingham, wherever else you need it. And then you might pass it along. The suggestion was pass it along to Novi because I know the MI6 group has a real interest in getting Novi onto the link, and as an intermediator, you might be able to leverage that into some work, that would get your tower work and antenna work and things like that done because they have a lot of climbers that are licensed and insured and whatnot. So this is where that is. That network exists. It's foolish not to participate on it while remaining completely autonomous. That's the thing I want to make sure everybody understands. You put in what you put in is yours, and if they were to say we don't want to play or anything, because I know there's a fear of that, then your stuff's still there. Your stuff still talks. You may have to get in and reconfigure it, but it's still there and it's still yours. And you can even configure it right out of the gate so that it's yours. So, I find that allowing them to manage it saves me a lot of grief as long as I have all the passwords and everything like that. Might as well take advantage. But I can answer any questions about that. I just want to say that they've got an RDAC grant to do that, so it is not a private project of theirs. And this is at the state level for emergency communications, right into the state EOC to all these different locations. So there's no monkeying around on this. This isn't somebody's private repeater. So I would suggest you consider getting on that. It just makes your life easier, and you can utilize the internet connections, whether you use the one at Macomb, whether you use the one out of the Fenton data center. It really doesn't matter. But I can hopefully bring back any questions you have, bring some of their technical expertise to bear here on this to help you with that when you get to that point. But that's really why I'm here. This is all your show, but I'm here. If there's anything I can do, questions I can possibly answer or forward, please let me know.
What will it cost us to get into your network?
I think we figured what about $300 to $500 per link. So a link over to from the hospital where your current east side receive site is, well, would that be considered east side with the airport? So with the hospital link, which is one of my sites, to you, it's probably a $500 pair of dishes. Then you wouldn't be responsible for the one to Novi, they would come in and probably put that in if you offered that. You probably have a similar amount of money to connect up and that would get you on the network, right? Then you'd have a similar amount to probably get the water tower over to the Oak Park facility. The problem with the water tower is you're probably not going to be able to do a point-to-point link to that. So you might want to consider a point to multi-point, but that means you're putting up sector antennas at the Oak Park location, which again has all sorts of wonderful benefit because it allows all the amateurs within range to get a small dish and connect into this network. So what would it cost, Lester? It depends on what you want to do. If you want to just get on the network with your main site, figure $500 plus the installation fees. And if you want to bring in the water tower, that depends on how we do it, point to point. If you can do it, it depends. I haven't seen that site. I don't know what it would involve. Again, everything plus installation fees, and then any other sites you wanted to link in that way. With a goal, I would think, and I don't want to speak for you, but a goal I would think would be to eventually get all your sites on the network so that under your control, so that you could maybe investigate a non-analog voting solution,
But
which
the
I
water
just
tower has no internet connection, I heard.
right. And
So,
that's what we'd be solving by doing this.
Oh, I
so
see.
I guess our first question would be, and I'm not looking for an answer right now, obviously, but what is the configuration of those links? And the reason I'm asking is our first initial link that will be set up between the VHF and UHF site, we want to build it in a way that's totally compatible. So it's like, our first one, and we just want to be able to duplicate it rather than reinventing the wheel when we have to connect into, the other location. So that would be our first question: is what are the configuration variables that we want to duplicate to make everything
Right. Okay, so last we spoke of this, we were unsure of, how much you wanted to bite off at this point. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you want to get the water tower, the UHF site connected to the main site. And that's the extent of this
that's
part of the project?
yes, that's the extent of this grant. And so
Okay, nope,
once
not a problem.
once we build up our skill set and we're able, we get
Yeah,
the hang of it, but
sure.
yeah.
Okay,
So
then I presume that you have internet available at the main site that you'll supply on your own.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you're gonna go that route, you're not like fully on the network at that point, then you're probably talking about some sort of point-to-point link. I would feel more comfortable. It's not my area of expertise. I would feel more comfortable bringing someone else in. We could bring in Paul,
Mhm.
KC8BDK. He did a presentation on this for you guys once or twice,
Oh,
and
did he?
or
Okay.
right, or I could actually, try to bring in somebody from Central Michigan to discuss it. But I think it'd be pretty simple. But I'm out of my area of expertise. I don't want
Yeah.
to,
Can I
I don't.
can I just interrupt for 1 second? Hi Sean. I actually don't think I've met you before. My name is Dave,
Yeah, hi Dave. How you doing?
I am the one who is kind of taking the reins on the IP side of this project. I would be very interested in meeting with you and anybody else that you would want to bring into that to talk about doing this. Uh,
Okay, I've already reached out. Let me do that. Let me try to get something, and let's try to arrange a meeting where we could have you introduced to the
Great.
guys, and and try to get you up to speed. And then that way you can better address your group here about where
Great.
we're going. And
That
In the
would be a good
chat,
idea.
I'll drop you my email address. I think that there's no need to bring them into this meeting. I think it can be a
right,
small subset, and then I can bring the information back. So I'll just drop you my email address in the chat. 1 second.
sure, sure.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, perfect. Sean, thank you. And Dave, I'm glad you guys made that connection. Very important. Any other comments? Okay. All right, so we'll hold it here for now. Keep a lookout on your email box. We'll get links and get everything distributed. And again, thank you, John WATLY, for making the recording available on our YouTube channel. And that's which is another place you could immediately go back and look at some of the slides as well. So until next time, thanks, 73s, and we'll see you all again.